This is the welcome video for Portara Downloader. So once your MSI file has been installed, you're going to see this Portara Downloader icon here. So if you double click that, and you'll see the splash screen, and Portara Downloader will open and present you with the welcome screen. So you need to type in your email address and choose a username and a password, and then press create. The next step is to go to your email and verify that, and once you've verified your email, you'll come back to this welcome screen and you'll make sure that the same details are in as what you created with, or you can leave this window open and then press login. When Portara Data Downloader opens, you're going to see a user interface that looks similar to this. Now you will have come from either one of two directions. If you're a free tier user and you've just installed Portara for the first time, then that's fine, just continue with the presentation. If you have purchased data and you've been interacting with Portara by email, then this is the place to stop. Just email us back that Portara Data Downloader has been installed. We'll set up the back end for you, and then you can continue with the presentation. The idea of the welcome on board video is just to get you started. So the first thing to do is make it bigger. Make the whole thing bigger so that you can see the user interface. In a nutshell, Portara Downloader has two main viewing areas. The right hand side of the screen is connected to the cloud, and the left hand side of the screen is connected to your local machine. And the basic premise of Portara Downloader is that you simply drag and drop data that you want from the cloud onto your local machine and your job is done. And in a nutshell, that's how things work. So it's very simple. It takes all the complexity away. Here on the tabs we can see a daily tab. If we click on the 1 minute tab, any data entitlements will show up there for you. Again, on tick trades only if you're subscribed into there, or tick level 1, which includes all the bids and asks. So you can see there the windows remain the same wherever you click. Now you may be subscribed where you don't see one of these tabs, and that's fine. It just means that them tabs are not available for you. If you're in the free tier version, then you're going to see all 4 tabs. Let's go into color code conventions across all 4 tabs, and we'll choose ALSI because that's near the top, and we notice there it's got a small blue cloud icon. That means you are subscribed to grab the data from the ALSI commodity in the cloud. If we double click on that folder, and we can see in there we've got red ALSI, and we've also, as we scroll down, we've also got blue ALSI. So this is the free tier version of Portara Downloader. So the blue ALSI contracts are the ones that you're entitled to, and the red ALSI are the ones that you're not. So the cloud commodities all behave in that way. If it's got a small grey cloud icon, then that means you're not subscribed to that particular commodity at this time, but you can do that by talking to us about all the different subscription packages that we have. Let's go to options, and here we can see the show subscribed data only checkbox. And if we click that, we're going to see here on the right hand side in the cloud that it will display only the commodities that you are entitled to. So let's do that, and we click, and we can see clearly there that all the commodities you're entitled to now appear with blue clouds, and none of the grey clouds show, and that's conducive right the way across all your data subscriptions. The good thing about Portara Downloader is it does work straight out of the box, so you don't have to be involved in any settings for local navigation, for folder setups to do things. It just works, The other thing to point out is if you do drag and drop data that you're not subscribed to, it won't come over anyway, so you don't have to pick and tease through all the contracts that you have entitlement for. It just knows what to do behind the scenes, so just be aware of that. Portara Downloader manipulates data in three main ways. The first one is that you will drag and drop data from the cloud to your desktop, and that will be in the downloaded folder. That data will be encrypted and it will also be zipped. The next phase is the unzipping of that data, so you can unzip that data into individual files, and that will unzip and place that into the unzipped folder. And the third dimension in Portara Download is that you can create continuous files and folders as well. A note on local navigation. Portara Downloader knows what to do. It creates folders for you by default to these 4 downloaded folders: daily, intraday, the level 1, and also for trades. The Portara Unzipped folders will also create for you, so Portara Unzip, daily, intraday, the level 1 and the trades. And when you eventually create continuous data, it will add the continuous data in there for you too. There's many ways to grab the data from cloud to desktop. You can use the buttons, or you can right click on the menu and download. You can create portfolios or just download everything selected. So there's a number of ways, or you can just simply drag and drop the data from cloud to desktop, which is what we'll do, and you can do that on a per tab basis depending on what you have subscribed to. So if we just grab ALSI and we drag and drop that across onto our desktop, and we will get a message box which you can switch on and off those message boxes in the options folder, like so. So we're going to press yes, and we can see there that ALSI has downloaded successfully into the local folder. Once the data is downloaded to your local machine, you've got two choices. You can go in and you can unzip to individual contracts, or you can create continuous data as you wish. Let's start with unzipping the contracts. We'll go to unzip selected to unzip into individual files and press that. Say yes to any messages and let it run. And that is the same for continuous data too. If we right click and select create continuous data and the message, say yes, and that will create continuous data. And just remember, everything will run straight out of the box, so you don't have to start setting up role settings for continuous data. It's all done for you. However, you can go into the formatting routines and adjust those as you require. To view the data that you've just created with Portara Downloader, you can either use the Windows Explorer, or you can click on these pathway explorers up here. The middle one is for the individual contracts. We can see daily. We double click in there, we see ALSI, and there is your data, your daily data. And if we just open any random one, there is the September 2021 contract, which is opened off screen. I'm going to pull that up for you, and you can see your individual contracts in here. To look at the continuous data, we just go to the continuous pathway and into daily, and there is your continuous form ALSI, and we'll double click that, and as we scroll down there you can see that all the data has been clipped in from all the contracts, in this case starting from 2019 December all the way through the history to the present day. Okay. The purpose of the Welcome on Board video is to give you a quick heads up on Portara Downloader and its overarching features. If you want to dive deeper, then just go to the help and helping tutorials to figure out how to use Portara at a deeper level. I'm just going to run through some of the menu UIs that you can use. So there's set up file names. You can click onto set up file names and build your own file names. You've got presets for things like NinjaTrader, and you can see how that's altered to suit the formatting routines for there. For trading blocks is the same for CQG and for Portara, and the symbol sets you can change in here as well as a secondary option. So you've got the choices from different symbol set maps. There's the one for CSI, and notice the changes down here that take place, and also one for NinjaTrader, so you can see, and then you can even change those as well in there by double clicking into there and making changes as you see fit across there too. If you wish to start again from scratch, there's a Revert to Portara symbol set. You click that and accept the message, and it will be back to what it was originally for you. And notice that the example format down here, if you make changes, it will show you what that is in each and every case, so that you are aware of how the file name format will appear when you run data later on. Another menu item worthy of a mention is set up portfolios, and with this it's an optional thing. You may never use it, but you can, if you wish, set up individual portfolios by creating them here, and you can save and delete them at your leisure. And you can use these tabs here on a per tab basis for each data type, and create just by selecting them into their portfolios. Again, you don't have to use this, but it's there if you want it, and you can select these combo boxes and put in the files that suit you into any order you wish to, and then you press save to set up your portfolios. If you are using portfolios, then it's a simple matter. If you are downloading, you can right click and select to download portfolio, and it will know what to grab from the cloud. And likewise, if you are wanting to unzip a portfolio rather than all the information at once, if you've got hundreds of symbols, then you just simply come in here and press unzip, and it will unzip that portfolio for you. And the same is true of the continuous data too. Let's have a brief look at the session manager, which we've just opened. And the session manager, it is only useful for intraday and tick, so it's got no use at all whatsoever for daily, so be aware of that. And simply you can come in here and set start and end times on a exchange based or a local based timestamp basis to chop away any unwanted morning or evening sessions from the data, if that's something that you want to do. So be aware that the session manager is here too. The last menu item is our auto updates feature, and if we click on there, we can click the auto updates and switch that on. So there's now a countdown, and we can see in the free tier it checks every 6 hours. If you're on the standard tier, it will check basically in real time when the updates are ready. You can also choose to manually update when you need to, and then what that will do is it will update everything automatically for you, and it will reference whether to update the continuous and the unzip at the same time as it does the download. So that's on a per tab basis, so be aware that they're there for each and every tab. So if you switch one on or you switch another one on this one, it will do those in order. So the manual update or the auto update will first run the daily, and it will download what it needs, and it only downloads data from the point of the last download, so it doesn't grab everything again and just cause chaos. It only drags the data that it needs that's changed since the last update, so be aware of that. And then in this case there's nothing set, so it will dive into the 1 minute data and it will download there. In tick data it will see that, oh look, it's an auto unzip, so it will download the tick trades, and it will then also unzip that data too, and for tick level 1 it says, oh look, well we don't want to unzip, we just want to auto continuous, and you can just set those up as you need to, and it's a one-off thing, and once that's been done it will run in reference to what you've set there. Couple of things in the options that's worthy of pointing out is if you are in auto update mode, okay, it defaults to all subscribed, so it's going to drag down everything that you are subscribed for. If you do want to use the portfolio setup, then you can change this to only download on a portfolio basis. Now that is very, very advanced. The chances of you needing the portfolio for downloads pretty slim, but it is in there for you to take advantage of. Another important feature in the options is the first one, which is unzip, modified and new data only. So what this does, it says, right, we're not going to unzip anything that we've already unzipped. So it saves a lot of time if you've got data back to the 1960s and then, you know, every time it goes in it unzips the whole lot again. You're going to be there for quite some time. So what this does, it says, look, we know that unzipped successfully, we know that there was no changes to it, so only unzip the modified and any new data that we've downloaded only, which for the majority of users you're going to leave this checked. However, if you're going to do something where you need to change formats and you've already run off data, or you want to delete and start again, that type of thing, then just uncheck this and away you go. On the subject of deleting, if you are constantly deleting and re-downloading the same data, then that's not the coolest thing, because for Portara that isn't free. We give you this service as a free service, but it does cost Portara money, so please don't do that. If you try to delete data from the downloaded area when that data is nothing wrong with it, then that's just going to cause headaches. So there is a fair usage policy there on the free tier, that you don't just keep downloading the same data and over again, because that's, as I say, that's not the coolest thing. So just be aware of that and please don't do it. But obviously if you are deleting any unzipped data, then, or any of the continuous data, then that literally there'll be a different message. It literally has no effect. Let's take a look at how formatting works in Portara Downloader. I've clicked on the Daily Data tab there, and you can see this Format button, and there's a Format button on a per tab basis. Okay, so we'll use the Daily and we'll click on Format, and we can see there this Auto Unzip Format Grid open. There's two ways to format your data. You can use the default rule, which applies to all the commodities in that particular data group. So in the daily data group you can use a default rule which covers everything, or you can do it on a per commodity basis, which you can do by just clicking custom and creating a custom template. So let me show you the default rule first. Let me click on there. Remember, this is the welcome on board video. Everything's been set up to just work for you, so I'm not going to spend time in here telling you about all the nuances of the settings. However, I will tell you that there are presets there that you can change, and it will update according to what you think you need. Price multiplier will alter where the decimal point comes out, and don't forget this is on for all commodities, but you can do this as well on a per commodity basis. You can change the date into any format you need. You can delimit anywhere. You've got column orders, so you can choose what prints out in where on the individual contracts and also on the continuous contracts. Notice we've got extra settings such as contract name or just a close, spread, cumulative spread. You can include headers. Let me click for the header manager. If you don't like the strings, or those strings need to be separate for whatever backtester or platform you're currently using, you can just double click in there and change those to print out whatever names that suits you based on any settings you've got in the file name formats that you may have set up. This will show you here, so you have an individual file name format and also your continuous, and then you can choose whatever extension you want for your file names. The compression, because this is daily, obviously it's got weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc., which you can choose there with other settings. On the intraday and on the tick, you're going to have different granularities according to the nuances within those particular templates. On the continuous data, notice that some are greyed out. Now that is correct, because for continuous data, those greyed out buttons have to be looked at on a per commodity basis. This is the rule default for all commodities, so obviously every commodity has its own nuances which need to be picked up by creating a rule on a per commodity basis and applying differences in there. The ones that are operational are things like start and end dates, which you can tweak across the whole global commodities for daily, and other adjustment types. Okay, so let's close the rule for all commodities, and we will go and look at a rule on a per commodity basis. So we can either click custom here or just open the template. We'll click custom, and you can see that virtually an identical rule user interface is just opened for us to look at. Notice that this rule is on a per commodity basis. This is for the ALSI that trades in Johannesburg, and we can see down here that mostly it looks the same, but there are now ungrayed controls in the continuous data which you can get at to make changes. Now, if you don't know, or you're a newbie, stay away from this, because you're just going to cause yourself headaches and problems. If you know what you're doing, then fine. If you need to revert back to the original defaults for this, if you've lost settings or you can't remember, you've made changes that have gone wrong, you can click here on default to set them back to the factory defaults that it came with. So in a nutshell, if you don't know what you're doing, leave it alone. You probably get more value out of the fact of not using personalized individual templates anyway and having them all set to default, unless there's something that really is something that you need to change. Okay. One thing that is worthy of a mention is the creation of continuous data when you're not creating daily. So here we can see the intraday template for the default for all commodities, and it's the same with the tick or the level 1 template. You'll notice that continuous data is a lot smaller. Now this is done on purpose because any changes that you make to continuous data has to be done on the daily template, regardless of whether you're running off intraday or tick. Now the reasoning behind that is that all roles are in relation to the daily, so you can get at the settle price. So if you're going to change something that involves running off continuous data outside of the daily framework and in intraday and tick, you need to go back to the daily template if you're going to make changes to the role settings and the settings within there. Just coming back to the message I left on the session manager, and this is to do with setting the session template in the format rules for intraday, tick and trades only. So the session manager won't work unless you set the session template. So here it's set to none for intraday, so you just simply need to click, and it's the last state you're going to be working with. This is the sticky template, so if you make changes to the session manager and then close and reopen it again, it will save and read from the last state template. So in most cases you're going to just be setting that to last state, and you'll find then the session manager works according to the settings you've got set in there. We're pretty much there apart from the mention of the data log, so you can get at the data log up here, and this just simply records everything that you've done in a particular session. You can display the current data log here and it's going to show you what you did. So we downloaded some data and then it's going to say, look, it's unzipped it into a certain folder for you, and then it's run off the data in continuous form. And there's quite a lot of information here that's going to be very useful for you, especially on how it rolled and how it's created the data. Okay, so just be aware of that too. And then finally, in options, there are some log file options. This one is pretty handy. When you get sick of looking at all the synchronized messages, you may want to come in here and check this to make those go away, and you'll see that, or you'll know what I mean when you see that. And the continuous log data, you can have it verbose, so it's telling you a lot of information about the roles, or putting it into summary only form. So that concludes the welcome on board video. Thank you very much for taking the time to view this, and good luck with your data going forward in all your trading needs.